Hello, folks. Can you hear me? Oh my god, I'm so excited. Uh, let's see. Uh, Amazing, yeah. All right, yeah. So I would say let's wait a couple more minutes and then we are ready to start. Oh my god, I'm so excited, guys. You have no idea. It's my very first live. This one. I'm just gonna close the window because it's getting too cold here, and I'm coming back. Yeah. All right, yeah. Okay. Yeah, so if you guys have any question, just drop them in the chat, and from time to time I will just look, from one monitor to the other. Oh my god, I'm so excited, yeah. Okay. Did you guys see that the new Hoi 4 DLC is coming out on November 23rd? Nice. Oh, I am. I mean, I will explain you why I am more looking forward to this game, but I am looking forward as well to playing, Hoi 4 uh, with the new DLC. No, this game does not have the 1945 scenario, but it has the biggest campaign ever, the one that goes from 1941 to 1945. So you have the whole war in the East, and that's one reason why I want to play this on my channel. And yeah, I think that War in the West has the 1945 scenario, which is just the last offensive of the Allies against Germany. And yeah. Okay, let's see. Yeah, still 2 minutes and then we can start. Is the music too loud, guys? Because it's the first time I'm streaming this game and I don't know if it's... Yeah, it's level 5, so that's... Yeah, War in the West, I think came out, I don't know when, but it's more about the air war, and I think that's why many people did not like it, because you really have to micromanage, all the wings and squadrons, and it's like let's say, the air management in War in the East too, but it's, I think, deeper and maybe a little bit more complicated. Okay, then I think it's 11 o'clock, right? So I think it's the case to start with the ritual. Howdy, folks, and welcome back to the channel. Welcome to my very first live stream. Today I'm really excited to bring on my channel Gary Griesby's War in the East 2. So why did I decide to bring this game, let's say, on my channel? Well, since I started playing Hearts of Iron 3, I've always dreamed of a game in which the player does have a more direct control on the logistics aspect. And I don't know if you guys played Hoi 3, but in Hoi 3, the way the logistics was handled was completely automated by the AI, and basically from the capital of your nation, the supplies would flow, let's say, province by province until they reached the frontline units. And that was, let's say, all automated, and sometimes the AI was choosing maybe not the best path. And since OS3 came out, I've always dreamed of a game in which the player can actually have a more direct control. You know, you can say, okay, I want my supplies to flow along the railway between Brest, Litovsk, and Minsk, let's say. And in this game, you can do it. And I think that understanding logistics is probably the best aspect of the game. If you want to be successful, especially if you play as the Axis, understanding logistics is, I think, the most important aspect of this game. And one other reason of why I decided to bring this game is because, unlike Hoi 4, which is a really sandbox game, War in the East is the opposite. So it's really a railroaded game. You don't start, let's say, in 1936, and you don't build up your nation in order to have, let's say, Panther tanks in 1941. But War in the East is extremely historically detailed, and I can load this, which will be, I think, the most ambitious scenario that I would love to bring on the channel. And all right, just give it time to load. And amazing, perfect. So I said that it's okay. It's a very historically accurate game, meaning that it starts on June 22nd, 1941. It is a turn-based game, and each turn lasts 1 week. The historical part of this game is, first of all, represented by, we could say, the production system. The production system is totally automated in this game. If you go, in here, this is the production screen. Let's have a look at Germany, and let's also add the types. But every unit in this game is modeled down to the individual soldier, and maybe we can never look at, let's say, this, the 110th Infantry Division, but you can see it's amazing. Every unit is modeled with rifle squads, pioneers, bicycles, and, let's say, in this case, cavalry, the anti-tank rifle, individual machine guns, mortars, AT guns, light and heavy howitzers, heavy and light infantry support guns, and then all the support units that you need to properly make this unit combat effective. And in turn, each of these elements consists of several units. You have manpower, you have rifles, hand grenades, submachine guns, pistols, and oh my god, this level of micromanagement is such, it's amazing for me. It's really amazing. And in terms of historical accuracy, I also mentioned the production screen. The production in War in the East 2 is totally automated, meaning that the computer takes care of that, and every element or unit that will be part of your divisions has an historical time frame. So if, let's say, the BF 109E3 was produced, let's say, in 1939 in January, this will still be produced right now, but because it's now 1941 and you have other models like the BF 109F2, now this is being produced, and the BF 109E3 is now classified as outdated, as seen here with this gate and the minus. There are other models like the, for instance, where are the TA? It's not, I don't see it here, but anyway, like planes built on the TA-152 airframe, they were just being produced. They were being produced in 1945, so you cannot just spam, like I used to do in Hearts of Iron 4, super advanced technological fighters in 1941 to quickly gain air superiority over the Soviet Union. And I think that probably the best way of historical accuracy is represented also by the order of battle. This is maybe one thing that I don't really like about Hearts of Iron 4, and it's the way the game just, let's say, shrinks the order of battle. In OE4, as you may all be familiar, you just have, field marshals, you have armies, and then you just manually assign divisions, and the AI will handle them. This was not the case, if you remember, in Hearts of Iron 3, where you had a very detailed organization of the order of battle. I just lowered the music a little bit because it's it's now, where is it? Preferences, yeah. Okay, yeah. When in OE3 you had the theater, like in this case the OKH, then you had the army groups, then you had the armies, the army corps, and then the divisions. And in this game you can even split up a division into its corresponding regiments, like this one here, the 102nd Infantry Division, that is split up here in these 3 regiments. And one, let's say, unique aspect that, let's say, it's easy to mod in this, it's easy to represent in this game, but much more complicated in Hearts of Iron 3, is the concept of evolution of the order of battle and evolution of the armies and templates, and also the historical reinforcements. This is the table with all the historical reinforcement units that were either moved to the Eastern Front or moved away from the Eastern Front, or even moved across Europe. And is there Italian, Romanian? Oh, there are Italians. There are Germans. There are the Slovaks somewhere. The Slovaks were in Army Group South, I think. They are somewhere here, I guess. Here we have the here are the Slovaks. You have the Hungarians. You have the Romanians down here with the German 11th Army, exactly. And the Italians are part of a theater box. I will talk soon. What are they? And there are also Italians coming on the Eastern Front. I think. Let me check. Yeah, in August, on turn 8, you have the what was called the XIR, the Italian Army Corps in Russia. And yeah, so I mentioned this. This is really the most detailed system of representing reinforcements coming and going to and from the Eastern Front. And I want to tell you this. I did something similar in Hearts of Iron 3. I recreated via event all the German divisions that were raised and then sent either in Europe or on the Eastern Front. And I wanted to bring this on the channel, but unfortunately, Hearts of Iron 3 doesn't run on my laptop. It crashes all the time. And I'm really sorry about that, because it would have been nice, to play in HOI 3 Barbarossa with the historical order of battle. But then I thought, this game has a way better order of battle, so let's just stick with it. And yeah, also because I mentioned the divisions, but in this game there are not only divisions, also known as combat units, but there are also the support units. And support units are usually attached to the army corps. And exactly, so you see, you have the infantry divisions here, and then you have artillery, self-propelled artillery, engineers, and construction units. Exactly here, assigned. And the game mimics everything. Like, you have the heavy howitzers, the heavy guns, the gun battalion. You even have, I think in the 4th Army, you have the siege mortars. Yeah, the siege mortar battery, which has, oh, I don't see it here. I think it has those big railway guns that the Germans used to shell the forts of Brest, Litovsk. And what this game allows you to do is to literally micromanage with everything. You can attach units here and there. I don't think I will take Stalingrad also because if you look, oh my god, just look at the map. The map is enormous. Let's say Army Group South starts in here in southwestern Poland, and Stalingrad is all the way here. It's if I will manage to reach Stalingrad, we will celebrate with another live. I think seriously, because yeah, it will be an historical event to win as the Axis in Gary Grisby's War in the East too. And yeah, so this is, let's say, what I really like about this game. I mentioned at the beginning the logistics. I'm sorry, I'm just improvising. I don't have a script. I'm just talking randomly. If you guys have any question, just feel free to drop them in the chat below, and I will have a look from time to time. So when you start the game starts with this. This is the, let's say, the very first phase. The game is divided into 4 phases. You have the logistics phase, but not on turn 1 of the starting player. On turn 1 of the starting player, you start with the air doctrine screen. This is basically something that the developers took from War in the West. The way, nope, I still have to familiarize, exactly. The way, let's say, the air war works in this game, it's very easy. Well, it's easy once you, let's say, start play around with it and you get used to that. But basically, you assign directives, you have individual units, and like the armies, let's say for the Germans, you have the Luftflottes, or Luftflotten, I think it's more correct. And each Luftflotte controls either one or more Fliegerkorps, and each Fliegerkorps controls the Geschwaders. I think they are the wings in English. And you have the KG, the Kampfgeschwaders, the bombing wings. They are equipped with bombers. You have the JG, the Jagdgeschwader, the fighter wings. Then you have the Koluft, I think it's something related to the Kommandant der Luftwaffe, der Luftflotte by eine Armee, which is basically which represents the liaison aircrafts attached to the individual armies. You have the Koluft 18 for the 18th Army, Koluft 16 for the 16th Army, and Koluft North for the whole Army Group North. And these were the Luftwaffe guys responsible for, let's say, coordinating the Luftwaffe with the army units. Do you know more harder games? No, but this game can be made harder. No, let's say preferences. So here you see the general difficulty level. And alright, so first of all, you see that I'm not playing with the Automate AI air assist, and it takes some time to learn how to manually handle the air war, and that's already one level of making this game complicated. And then you have here the difficulty levels. You have normal, which is everything balanced, and then you have, let's say, I cannot change it. Let's go back to the menu, and alright, so yeah, exactly, you have the difficulty levels here, and if you play on normal, nothing happens. If you play on challenging, you see that if you play, let's say, as Germany, you keep the morale level at 100, and, well, they're moving stuff outside, and you get fort build level, logistics level, transport level, and admin level to 90. I hope I understood your question. This is what you were asking. But you can make the game harder by playing around with these values, basically. Now, morale is, I think, the most important, let's say, setting that you can play around in the difficulty mode, because morale impacts not only the morale, so the, let's say, level of happiness of your units, but also the way your units fight on the battlefield. And if you have, let's say, a morale of 100, the so-called national morale. The national morale is, let me load a scenario. Oh, by the way, I also made a mod here, the improved German order of battle, because there are some, let's say, some flaws in the 1941 campaign. So the morale is, I think it reflects, let's say, the happiness of the whole nation, basically. And if you go on the editor, you have here the national morale, exactly, and you have here it's morale for specific nations. You see here you have a list of nations. You have Germany, Finland, Italy, Romania, Hungary, Slovakia, Bulgaria, Czech, oh my God, Belgium, Netherlands, Poland, Soviets, the USA. So basically every nation, yeah. Well, I didn't see that. And yeah, so but I basically see that morale is not static, but it's really dynamic. Like German morale is high throughout 1941, and then it drops in 1942, and then goes lower in 1943 and 1945. And morale is, nope, is something. Let's say if exactly here. Morale is this number here, 76 out of 75, which impacts the way your units will fight on the battlefield. Now, I have to say a few things about morale and the AI. Now, if you set the morale of the AI to 110, then the AI will enjoy one big bonus, which is basically to move every division in the friendly controlled hexes without penalties. This means that, let's load the editor again. If you set the morale of the Soviets at 110, what the AI will do is, as soon as the game will load, is basically, let's say, if the AI will feel that there is a threat in this area, and the AI has, let's say, a division here, the AI will move this division from here to the threatened area without any penalty. I know this is seen as a kind of cheating, but we all know it's the AI. We humans are somehow, let's say, we should be better than the AI, but yeah, you never know. I mean, I never played a long campaign in this game, so we will see. And the fort build level, it's basically impacts the percentage of the fortifications that each unit will build during every turn. If you don't move your units, the units will, like historically happened, will start to dig in. And if you set this, let's say, to 90, instead of, let's say, taking one turn to raise the fort to level 0 to level 1, it will take maybe 2 turns, because on the first turn you will just get 90% of the forts completed. Logistics is, I think, the second most important variable after morale, because the way logistics works in this game is simply amazing, and I will explain you briefly, in a short time. And then you have the transport level, which impacts directly the percentage of I was called the railway capacity, the transport capacity of your I would say railway convoys. And then you have the admin level. The admin level is also a direct percentage modifier of the admin points. The admin points are used to, let's say, change commanders and stuff like that. And also it impacts the so-called leaders checks. I will maybe talk briefly about these two aspects. Now, logistics. I'm sorry if I just swap from scenario to editor, but I just want to show you guys the basics of this game. So I was thinking maybe I could even do a tutorial video about how does logistics works in this game, because I think it's really interesting. So very briefly, you have, let's say, factories. Yeah, so you have some factories that produce resources, like let's say this one here in Cottbus. You see here that there is a list below the production that says resource production 12, and what this resource factory do is just to produce resources. These resources are abstracted that will be converted into equipment, and we've seen the equipment here. Exactly. So exactly this one here. Exactly. We have resources and heavy industries, which I think they convert the resources into tools, but I need to read the manual because it's really complicated. And then you have the national production centers. So these are like let's say the capital nations in Hearts of Iron 4. If you play as Germany, you have 4 of them. You have Berlin, you have Frankfurt, you have Prague, and you have Vienna, exactly, as the national production centers. And all the resources and equipments and tools and machine guns, planes, tanks, supplies, they are transported automatically here into these 4. And then from these 4 centers, they are sent across the railway or ports to individual depots. And nope. Oh my god, I need to play exactly here. Essentially, this system works that you have depots with different priorities. And every production center will always have the priority set to 0. If you have a depot in this game set to 0, this means that this depot will just keep sending out whatever you have, supplies, machines, and everything that is in this game is abstracted as freight. And then you have depots set to level 1. These depots will take all the freight from a level 0 depot and will try to stockpile it. If you have a depot which has a level 2, like this one here in exactly in Königsberg, the level 2 depot will take the freight from the level 1 depot. The level 2 depot in turn will send the freight to a level 3, and the level 3 depot will ship it to a level 4. And basically you have these, let's say, 4 layers of priorities that you can easily change if you click here exactly on this icon. When you click on, if you have a depot next to the depot, then you can click on this icon, you can set the priority here. And you see that a level 4 depot has a very high priority for freight. And from a level 4 depot, the freight is then sent to the individual units. And what I like and I love about this game is that if you click on, let's say, a province with, yeah, actually any X, I thought only hexes with railways, you can basically create, if you want, a depot with which, of course, to stockpile freight and then maybe change its priority to allow the nearby divisions to take freight from this depot. Now, how do supplies move between the production centers and the depots? Well, there are 2 ways. One is via sea. If you have exactly here this port is set to priority 0, which means this is an export port. Every freight that will arrive here will just be sent to a level 1 port. But the bulk of the supplies are sent via railways, and railways are depicted here with these dashed light green and dark green lines. And this is, I think, just simply fantastic, because this game mimics the difference between double-tracked railway and single-tracked railway. The difference is seen here, for instance. This is a single-tracked railway line, and this is a double-tracked railway line. I hope this is the correct name, double-tracked and single-tracked railway. Please let me know if I'm saying something wrong. And these two railways have a different capacity. The single track railway only has a capacity of, I think, 12,000, while the double-tracked railway has a capacity of 30,000. So I think it's very clear from this that you want to use as much as possible the double-tracked railway line. Now, the problem is that if you move deeper and deeper into the Soviet Union, you see that the double-tracked railway lines becomes more and more scarce. And this is basically reflects the historical state of the Soviet railways in the early 40s, where you have quite a bunch of single-tracked railways, and then the eastwards you go, the more scarce and rare these railways become. So when I will play the Grand Campaign, it will be really essential to micromanage the logistics of this game. Also because if I want to take Stalingrad with the army, there is only one railway line, one single-tracked railway line going to Stalingrad. So I don't know. Oh, I will talk about, yeah, good point. I will talk about this now. So it will be really challenging to reach Stalingrad with the Italians, maybe in 1941, yeah. And before going to these WN and FI, let me just tell you one more thing. Yeah. So about the logistics, and then I should talk about the transports, and then about the WF. Exactly. What this game mimics, and I think this is also coming in Hearts of Iron 4, but this is more realistic. What you have in this game are specific, dedicated units that you have to treat like your girlfriend or your wife, in case you have one. And these are the so-called FBD. The Germans did have 5 of them. One is in the Balkans here, and 4 of them are on the Eastern Front. FBD-1 is on the attached to Army Group South. FBD-2, I think it's attached. FBD-3 to the FBD-3 and 2 are attached to Army Group Center. Let me find FBD-2 exactly, and FBD-4 is attached to Army Group 4, Army Group North. These FBD are in German they are called the Feldeisenbahndirektion. These are basically railway repair units, because I love this aspect of the game. When you advance into the Soviet territory, as it was historically, the Soviet gauge was slightly larger than the German one. The gauge is basically the distance between the two railway tracks. And what the Germans had to do was to manually fix the Soviet railways in order to accommodate the German trains and locomotives. And the way you do it in this game is by moving these FBD units along the railways. And this is also one crucial aspect that you need to master if you want to play this game. So you see that you have a relatively large network, but you only have 4 of these mobile units. You also have the construction, but exactly, you see here actually no, they are different. Army group, 4th Panzer Group maybe. Yeah, you have these road construction battalions. These are also repair units that will be automatically detached from the main HQ, and they will just repair on their own the damaged railways. The FBDs are the only units that you can, let's say, micromanage by saying, okay, let's move along this railway line and then just repair it turn by turn. And of course, it's up to you to decide which railway line you want to prioritize. And this is what I think makes this game extremely interesting and extremely fascinating, because, you know, if you do one mistake, you can cripple your whole offensive against Leningrad, for instance. And I mentioned briefly the railway. Oh yeah, so this is basically the railway map. You see, if you will advance into the Soviet Union, these green green dots will turn red, and you will have to move your railway repair units to manually fix them. So I mentioned before the railway capacity. The modifier of the transport level, this affects basically the percentage of the freight that can be moved along the railway. 2 words about the admin level. Basically, you see that each leader, exactly, let's pick von Manstein maybe. Yeah, von Manstein has, each leader has points, morale, initiative, and admin, mech, and infantry. The morale attribute of a leader dictates how many support units will join a battle, because let's say von Manstein has several support units, and when a unit will be committed to battle, there is kind of a dice roll that determines whether one of these support units will actually take part in the fight. And basically, the higher the morale, I think the morale level of the leader is, and the higher the chance that a unit will be committed into battle is. Or maybe it's admin. I don't remember now. I need to check the manual again. But basically, if you play around with the admin level, you will increase or decrease the chance of getting a favorable dice roll when your units will fight a battle. Now, what are these, as High Ground Memes asked? These W, N, F, I, R, G, A, F, I, T, and B. Let me drink because I'm ready. Wow. Yeah, and let's see, how much time did I already talk? It's okay, half an hour. Not bad. These are the so-called theater boxes, and this is what makes, I think, Gary Grigsby's War in the East a great game, because it not only mimics what happens on the Eastern Front, but it also mimics what happened and what happens on the, let's say, European and North African theaters. And in this case, the fighting in these theaters is much more simplified, and it's represented here by the theater boxes. This is, W stands for Western Europe, and here you see exactly all the units, the command, the OKW, the OB West, the 1st, 7th, and 15th armies. You have panzer battalions. You have the 5th Panzer Division, which is now recovering after the campaign in Greece, basically. And you have all the historical divisions that were actually there on the Western Front at the time Germany invaded the Soviet Union. You have why I can't move it? Oh, right, it's down here. You have airborne units, basically everything. You have everything. And then here you see you have the Norway theater box. You have the Finnish theater box, you have the reserve theater box, and this is from where you can take your units and send them to the Eastern Front, or vice versa. And you have the garrison theater box. The garrison theater box, let's say, it simplifies the partisan war. Both the Axis, I mean Germany, and the Soviet Union will send units here, and of course, if you have more units, you can reduce the impact of partisans on your logistics. If the Soviets send more units here, they can negatively affect the logistics and the supplies of the German army in Russia. And then you have the African front. And I want to tell you this: I would love, in my grand campaign, to bring out of Africa the 15th Panzer Division. I know some people recommended not to do it, and I will tell you now why. But I really want to try it because you can play with this mode. It's called enhanced. I think it's called enhanced player theater box control. If you tick it, then you can manually play around with the units from one theater box to the other. You have the Italian theater box full of Italian units, of course, and then you have the Balkans. So it's simply amazing the way War in the East 2 mimics and takes into account also the other fronts, at least of the war in Europe. You have the events system, and this is one thing that I would like to cover briefly. War in the East 2 simulates basically the whole World War II. So in let's say in North Africa in November 1941, when the Brits launched Operation Crusader, the Axis was basically defeated and forced to fall back to El Agheila here. And the game will mimic this via events, by saying that the fighting intensity in the North African theater box is now set to level 2 or medium high. And if you remove units from, let's say, the North African theater box, there is a chance that those events will occur earlier, which mimics that, okay, if you weaken the Afrika Korps of Rommel, the British will launch Operation Crusader maybe in October or September. Vice versa, if you send reinforcements to Africa, you can delay the occurring of those events. I said the delay and not prevent these events from happening. This is not Hoi 4. It's not that by sending, let's say, 3 more tank divisions you can just reach Suez in 1942. No. The game is set to bring Germany on the verge of collapse by 1945. And if you can just basically delay this from happening. And I think this sets the player in really thinking every single turn what to do, what not to do, because you really have to balance everything. The Eastern Front, the theater boxes, the Western Front, the reserves, the supplies. And yeah, that's one more reason of why I really want to bring this game on the channel, guys. Italian or Romanian historical commanders. Oh, there are, absolutely. Let me open again the editor, because I think it's easier to show it here. And yeah, there are plenty of commanders, leaders, exactly. Here you have German, you have Finnish, you have, wow, even the Italian, even the Italians that I think that they just fought in Italy. You have the Romanians, you have the Hungarians, you have the Slovaks, more Italians. I didn't know that. You have the Soviets, and look how many you have! Oh my god! Oh, I have freaking goosebumps now. And you have the American commanders. You have, I think, even the British commanders. You have even the Canadians ones, the French, the Canadians, the Polish, and I think they even added the Bulgarians. Yeah, the Bulgarian ones. Yeah. So it's really, it's simply fantastic. And what else did I want to talk about? Yeah. Tuk, tuk, tuk. Yeah, so briefly, the way I would like to um, play this game. So here I just, you know me, guys. I'm really, let's say, a huge fan of historical accuracy, and this game is not perfect, of course. And one way that I tried to, let's say, make it slightly better was to really again go into the order of battle and find all the flaws and the mistakes that the developers did. I mean, it's an outstanding job, because going to research one by one all the units, when they were sent, where, and even at the level of the support, the heavy artillery battalion. That, oh my god, it's an amazing historical research. Still, I did improve a bit the starting order of battle for Germany, because this is something that I don't understand. If you guys know, uh, if there is any developer watching the stream, I would be honored to have one. But I don't know if anyone noticed. So I don't know. It doesn't make sense to me that, let's just kick out the air word, that here you have an empty X and you have the 12th and the 32nd Infantry Divisions just standing here. I've been looking on many maps showing the German divisional disposition on the eve of Barbarossa, and those two guys were not back here, they were in these hex here. And then there are a bunch of units like the 50th Corps and the Polizei and the 86th Infantry Division that were not already, let's say, behind the enemy lines. True, they were the reserves of Army Group North, but they would have just joined the Eastern Front by late June. So on June 22nd, these units were still back in Germany or even France. So what I did in that, in this scenario here, was just to fix some of these reinforcements that were not already on the Eastern Front at the time the Germans invaded the Soviet Union. And I mean, there are also a few other small flaws that they will be fixed hopefully in the upcoming patch. Also because I'm playing now with the beta, because I don't want to wait for the official patch to be released. But for instance, there is something here that exactly. So there is here. You see that there is a kind of a railway bridge over the Volga. Now, this is not really historical, because the Soviets never had a railway bridge over the Volga. The Volga here, I think it's too wide to build a bridge. But the developers, they stated that this was just a way to mimic the ability to ferry supplies and troops and munitions and everything from one shore to the other of the Volga River. Wow, I'm not used to talk for so long, yeah. And also, I wanted to mention this. One way through which, let's say, this game models, the fact that you can't, let's say, move your divisions deeper and deeper into the enemy territory are the concepts of fatigue and combat preparation points. Fatigue is represented here by this drop of maybe sweat or blood. I don't know if it was that, and it's basically actually I could do some live gameplay now, yeah, to talk about this. It represents, let's say, the fact that your men are getting tired and exhausted. They fought a long battle, and they need some rest. And the combat preparation points is, as the name says, represents how ready your men are within the division to, let's say, stage an attack. And of course, if you move, you will gain fatigue and lose combat preparation points, or CPP. Yeah, CPP. And you will lose less and gain less of these if you move from a friendly controlled hex into another friendly controlled hex. And you will gain more if you move from a friendly controlled hex into an enemy controlled hex. And I think, yeah, shall I play something live, guys? Maybe let's play it to normal. And yeah, also, since I am in this screen, what I wanted to tell you guys is that I would, let's say, the way I planned to bring this game on the channel will be to play at least the 2 introductory scenarios, because in case you guys are new and would like to, let's say, to see if you like this game or not, these 2 are, I think, really the best scenarios that you can play to get your hands on the basics of the game. And oh, impossible! Oh, you guys hate me, right? You want to see me losing? Oh, that's cool. Yeah, we can try with impossible. Yeah, and I would like to bring these 2, then the road to Leningrad, and this, the destruction of the Southwestern Front. These guys is, I think, one of the most difficult scenario that there is amongst these, because it's, I tried it once and it's so complicated. But yeah, let's try the Veliki Luki and let's play against, as we start at the Soviets, so I like to set these now as humans. And I tried to play as the Germans, and once I even managed to win this scenario. And okay, let's start. So I can even give you an idea of how I set my air directive. So as I said, the game is divided into turns. Each turn has 4 phases. You have the logistics phase, that in this case is not active because we start already as the Soviets, so we don't have the logistics phase. These are basically the logistics of November 24th, 1942. And we are now in the air planning phase. The Soviets, unlike the other European and Americans air fleets, they divided their air fleets based on armies, divisions, and even regiments. And for this scenario, it's very easy because you just have the 3rd Air Army. You see here some symbols. This symbol here represents the fighters. This represents the bombers, and this includes the transports and liaison aircrafts. You see this double arrow here. This double arrow indicates the stance of the army, of the air army. You see here flexible. You can let's say change this based on what you plan to do with your ground units. Flexible means that the AI at the end of the turn will just shuffle, the reinforcements, the tired pilots, the supplies, and so on. Will maybe move the air wings to a more favorable airfields. If you select hold, the air army will just not move any of its wings. If you set retreat, at the end of the turn, the planes will fall back. If you set advance, they will just follow. They follow this headquarter, and they will just, let's say, rebase on the newly conquered airfields. And yeah, so we have the first shack. I don't know what shack means in. Oh, there are, yeah. So there are when you play as the Germans, there are the so-called Heavies. I think they are the volunteers. There are not really the Ronas, but there are the volunteers. When a unit, I know at least when a Soviet Union, oh my god, when a Soviet unit gets, let's say, either disbanded or shattered, or it's surrounded and it's forced to give up, basically, you will not capture all of the men, but some of the men will escape into becoming partisans, and other men will they will become part of your volunteer pool. And with those volunteers, you can just put them into, let's say, construction units, labor units, and so on and so forth. Now, this scenario is quite easy in terms of air management, because exactly, we can just set recon and ground supports, but I want to do it, let's say, on my own, and show air doctrines, no air directives. There was, oh my god, I forgot where is the window of the air directives. So this game is now only in English. I don't know. People were discussing about also adding the German localization, but so far it's only in English. I know War in the East 1 also had the German localization, which was, I think, cool, because I would have loved us to read, instead of 6th Panzer Division, the 6th Panzer Division, and so on and so forth. And yeah, right, I forgot. Here, I know it's complicated. I know it takes time to, let's say, learn the basics of the game. But yeah, if you want to, I mean, if you play the game at the beginning, just use the automated air AI assist, because it's easier. If you really want to invest time and patience, as I did, you can try to learn how to manually handle your air forces. And the first thing that I want to do is to set out a recon mission, and is not a strategic assigned. Okay, why it's not? Well, you know what? I think it's alright. This is such a shame that I never played this as the Soviets. I'm always used to play as the Germans. So let's just let's see, air doctrines. Okay, so I think now no planes will fly. Oh my god, I am so ashamed, guys. I forgot how to set up the air directives for the Soviets. But now, basically, you see here the days, nights, they are ticking. And if I did not delete my air directives, my Air Force would have just flew some missions. And this is what you see. This is the directive report summary. That if I had any air directive, it would have told me how many, let's say, sorties were flew, how many planes were lost, and so on and so forth. Now here comes the most the most interesting part of the game, the ground phase. In the ground phase, it's really the time to move your units around, just like the good old style Hearts of Iron 4. Now, you see here that I selected the 31st Rifle Brigade. This is kind of weak because it's just one brigade, while the 381st Rifle Division should be a bit stronger. And you see here, you have all these kind of symbols. You have the combat preparation points, 50, no fatigue. This brigade has 4,206 men, 47 guns, no tanks. It has 96% of the required supplies, and it has 102% of the ammunition. These are the supplies, fuel, and ammunition. Because yeah, one thing of this game is also that it mimics not only the supplies in general that we mean with OE3, or even the single equipment that we mean with OE4, but it mimics also the fuel and the ammunition of each individual unit. And you see also here that there are numbers within this star, and this number indicates the movement points that each unit that this unit will have if it moves into this friendly controlled hexes. And you see that by moving from a friendly territory into a friendly territory, you just lose one, I mean, not one, but relatively few movement points compared to moving into an enemy occupied hex. And the terrain also affects the amount of movement points that your units will have. Because if I move across this, I think it's light woods and light woods, nothing happens. But if I go into heavy woods, you see that I'm going from 14 to 12. So while moving from here to here, I'm just losing one movement point. If I move from light woods to heavy woods, I lose 2 movement points. And this is also something that I need to take care into account when moving, let's say, the panzer divisions, because you don't want to move your panzers across heavy woods or across swamps here, because they will just drain movement points for nothing. Now, the way you want to fight in Gary Grisby War in the East is to use the very same strategy that, let's say, you should use in Hearts of Iron 4, basically, which is to surround and encircle as many enemy divisions as possible. And maybe let's say not make the huge pockets like Hoi 4 style, but every turn always try to surround and isolate 2, 3, 4 enemy divisions, because this is how you prevent the enemy from building up its strength and then, let's say, getting nasty surprises at the end of the campaign. So, in the Veliki Luki scenario, the goal of the Soviet player is to take control of Veliki Luki, ideally take control of Novosokolniki and Lochnia, because these are 3 locations, actually even this one here, down here, Nevel, I don't know, because these are marked with flags on the map. And the way to do it is just to kick out the Germans from here. And let's give it a shot in the impossible difficulty. So, left click, I select, right click, I move. And wow. This one cannot move. These cannot move. I cannot join them. Okay. In terms of attacks, in War in the East 2, there are 2 types of attacks. These are called the hasty attack and the deliberate attack. The deliberate attack, as you can see, can be selected by pressing Shift, and the hasty attack represents a more of an improvised attack. You know, your units are already there, and you tell them, okay, guys, let's just go on the offensive, and they're not really organized. They're like, okay, let's just go and attack the enemy. And as you can see, the hasty attack, it consumes less movement points, but it's also less effective. And you see here this attack CV and defend CV. These are the combat values. Always, let's say, take these numbers with a bit of caution, because they do not always tell you, okay, if you have this ratio 3.2 to 1.6, you will win. Because we don't have a perfect knowledge of the enemy unit here, so I don't know if there might be some other units hiding here that I don't see now, or if there are other support units that can join the fight of the defender when I will attack in here. Yeah, the partisans are there. They're not really on the map, but they will increase the level of interdiction if you play as the Germans. And if you play as the Germans, you need to put units in the garrison theater box, basically. And yeah, this is how the partisan warfare works. And honestly, I like it. It reminds me of, let's say, the partisan system of Fast of Iron 4, that you need to send a division template in the garrison, let's say, template to keep the suppression values low. So let's try to attack here. Wow. Wow. Oh my god. Oh my god. Could I... Let's do a hasty... Oh my god. Oh my god. Okay, so I'm just selecting with Shift. If I hold Shift and move the mouse, I can select multiple stacks of units here. Okay, so I can try, I think... I cannot do anything now. Oh my god. Now, you see what does it mean playing on the impossible difficulty? It's really impossible. You cannot do anything. And, okay, since I cannot move anything else, let's just... Oh, right, the depots. Where are the depots? Yeah, ideally I would like to encircle the garrison in Veliki Luki, because then I want to take Veliki Luki and establish a depot here. I should talk more about depots. Maybe I would really make a tutorial on how the logistics system works. By the way, if you guys want to know more about this game, I would recommend the channel of Strategy Gaming Dojo, because this guy, Peter, did an amazing job in explaining everything about this game. There are, I think, 18 episodes. Each episode is roughly 1 hour long, but they are extremely well done. I love the way this guy talks, and it's the way he explains everything. It's way better than what I'm doing right now on my life. And yeah, let's just... I don't need to move my depots here, so... Okay, now it's time for the Axis to play its turn. I'm pretty sure the Axis will overrun me, because this is what happens when you play on the impossible difficulty. It's simply impossible. And the good thing is that the Axis does not have a big air force, so they can just do air recon missions, and that's it. And yeah, you see, maybe I can pause a minute. You see when there is the air execution phase, you see here the number of sorties that, in this case, the AI, so the Luftwaffe, is launching, and you see here sorties, the air directives, and also the losses, because airplanes losses are represented here by air combats in case there was a dogfight, by flak on the ground, and I will make an episode dedicated to what to do if you play the Grand Campaign with the Germans, and what to do on turn one with the Luftwaffe. Because if you strike with the Luftwaffe at the enemy airfields, you want to destroy as many airplanes on the ground as possible. And then you have the operational losses. So, machines get used, they wear down, and they break, and yeah, they'll just break down. And in this case, the Luftwaffe lost one recon plane because of operational losses. And let's see what will the AI do on the impossible difficulty. Oh my god, I'm so scared now. Wow. This is the combat values. 12.7 to 1. Oh my god, that's retreated. Retreated. Oh my god, I'm losing everything. Okay. Oh, it's moving its units away from here. Interesting. I know. It's just redeploying them. Okay, the enemy is supplying with air, and I'm intercepting them. They lost 3 planes. Okay. Oh my god. Oh, now this is what happens when you play on the... And also, you see here, the enemy is now occupying 1 hex. Sure, enjoy your lunch, buddy. Oh, it was nice to see you there. Oh, my friend from Brazil. Yeah, let's see. Yeah, you see that now this hex with the railway line is under the control, or better, the influence of the enemy. And because of this, the supplies now will not flow across this province, across this railway line anymore. They will have to be directed, I guess, maybe back here, from here to here. So, one thing that exactly this is one thing that I love about this game is that you can cripple entire armies by just cutting away their supply lines. And it's not that like in Atsuvern 4 that you need to really fully encircle everything. In this scenario, a situation like this is extremely unfavorable for me, because alright, this is the air. Okay, now I should have the doctrines. This situation is extremely challenging. If I let the enemy hold this line here, my supplies, my armies down here are basically messed up, to not use another word, basically. And the same is true for the Germans. If I can chop this railway line here, the units here will be crippled. And oh, that's amazing. And did I activate the AI? Yeah. Okay, superiority, and I want to go straight to the ground phase. I will learn more about how to handle the Soviets. I think it's the same as the Germans. I never played this scenario with the Soviets, and it's... I mean, it's interesting. And okay, so I have superiority, which means the fighters will actively engage enemy aircraft. Ground support. This is basically, as soon as I will have a land battle, my IL-2 Sturmovik planes will take off and engage the enemies, and then recon, as you just saw, the normal recon mission. So let's try again.
Do I have some divisions? Exactly, I do have some divisions here. So let's occupy the... Oh! Oh! Hello there! Okay. Can I move Rifle Brigade? Oh, also, let's have a look at the reinforcements, because I want to see... Okay, I will get... Oh, tank regiments. And heavy artillery. Oh! Oh, oh. I forgot to do something. I was talking about the... supplies and chain of command, and it's always good to have your units within, let's say, the command of their headquarters. And let's now try... Oh my god, I am so scared. I have nothing. I have nothing. So when you attack, you always want to have an attack combat value, which is at least double the defense value of the enemy. And since... Oh, maybe... Oh, they committed some reserve. They are committing their reserves. And those red lines here are the air support that it's... Oh shit, I can't do anything. That is intervening and coming into battle. Now let's see if I can dislodge. Oh my god! Oh my god! It's this is. Oh, I have the mechanized brigades. All right, the mechanized corps. Damn! I should have moved it earlier. Let's do like this. Let's move it here. Can it? Oh yes, finally. Now I can't move it because I don't have... I have the delay, battle delay, and okay, okay. Whew, interesting. Maybe I can pull something off in this live that you guys can enjoy watching. Oh my god, I never played on the impossible scenario, and oh my god, now imagine playing as the Axis on the impossible difficulty. I think that the Soviets would just steamroll you and just overrun your units like no tomorrow, seriously. And Sergei Bunyachenko. Actually, I can have a look at that, yeah. Let me finish this to see how bad I can play on the impossible difficulty, and then we can have a look at that, yeah. Okay, sending supplies with the air and are getting intercepted, luckily. Yeah, because I forgot to mention, if one province gets cut off, you can still supply your units via air. And it's always risky because the enemy can interdict, like in this case, my fighters were intercepting the enemy Ju-52s, I think. Okay, this is the turn summary. It tells you the losses and the personnel. Oh my god. I gained 597 men, the Axis gained 15,000. How can I play? How can I play against an army that gains almost 3 times the amount of men that I have? Oh my god. Anyway, I think this is now automate. No, yeah, air superiority, and yeah. Let's see. Oh my god. Oh my god. Okay, when I will play these scenarios, let's say not live, I will organize them properly. I will explain everything, because I'm just... this is, I think, my first live, and I think this is gonna be the worst live ever that I've ever played on the channel, and oh my god. Okay. Nothing new. And let's see. They brought reinforcements. They have the SS Brigade. Let's see if I can... Ah, hell. Oh! Okay. So, okay. Let me check first your question, your first question. So, I mean, you got the message. If you play on impossible difficulty, it's impossible, basically. Let me check the name Sergei Bunyachenko. Sergei Bunyachenko. Is there? Oh, nice. Bunya. There is no. There is not. I'm sorry. Maybe they will add it in. There is there Vlasov? Oh. There is no Vlasov? No, come on. Oh, sorry. Oh my god, I'm so stupid. I was looking at the at the at the TOE, the table of organization, and maybe there is not really. Oh yeah, Vlasov, Andrei Vlasov. Okay, so Vlasov is there. It will be interesting to see if. No, actually no. So Vlasov remains until July of 1942. Then I think it will be just removed from the game. I think it will be interesting to see Vlasov to appear on the German side, because as you may know, Vlasov was the commander of the Rona, the Russian Army of Liberation. And no, so you asked me about my relatives. So yeah, it's interesting to talk about it for me. So both of my grandfathers were actually soldiers in the Italian army. One of them was in the Alpine troops, and the other one was in the heavy artillery in North Africa. The father of my mother was in North Africa. He was sent there in. Can I zoom in exactly? In Tripoli, I think it's here. Yeah, Tripoli. Basically, after the defeat of the Italian army in North Africa, he was sent there as part of the reinforcements, together also with the German Africa Corps, and he was basically the crew commander. He was directing a crew of one of those Italian. These are the heavy howitzers that were attached to the army command. They were the 149 millimeters howitzers, and let's say from his point of view, the war in North Africa was chilling, because most of the times he was just sitting with his men. They were when they were in 1941, they were besieging the port of Tobruk. They were just sitting there, chilling at the sun, keeping the guns operational, keeping the guns crew. They were doing a lot of physical activity just to be, let's say, in good shape, let's say. And from time to time there was the army command calling, all right, we need a fire mission against these coordinates, and they were just shelling, let's say, for 2 or 3 salvos against the Australians, which were dug in at Tobruk. When, let's say, Operation Crusader came, of course the Italians were almost always the first one to flee, and the heavy battery of my grandfather was pulled back first to Benghazi, then to Sirte, and then back to Elagala. When there was the counteroffensive of Rommel in January of 1942, again, my grandfather was following behind. Not too much happened. He fought again, not against, but in the Battle of Bir Hakeim, when he was tasked of shelling the Free French forces, which were dug at Bir Hakeim. And then he followed the German and Italian armies at El Alamein. And he told me that probably the Battle of El Alamein was something that he never witnessed in his life. And especially when the bombardment of the British began, he just told me once that it was like, it was dark, and all of a sudden it became daylight, because there were so many flashes at the horizon of the guns firing. And then it was like, the whole hell came on earth, because when the barrage started, really, he told me that he could feel, the sand coming up and everything just burning and blowing up. And he was lucky that his battery was not touched by the bombardment. And only, I think, on the second day, when the British tanks came forward, the Italian commander saw the German commander, who told his crew, guys, just put the guns at 0 degrees and just shoot at direct firing range against the tanks. And he told the same to his men. Imagine firing a 149 millimeter howitzer against the incoming British tanks. I mean, he never know, and he will never know, if this was enough to stop the British tanks advancing against the Italian positions, but for whatever reason, the British tanks were stopped in this way. And after that, his battery was just, let's say, pulled away from the front line, and they abandoned its guns somewhere on the way back, because of course the army was now in full retreat. There was no organized supplies, no organized rear service. They just, everyone took care of his life basically, and which I think was the most obvious thing to do when you're retreating in the middle of the North African desert. And yeah, maybe then this is, let's say, a dark chapter of what happened next. But when Italy switched side, he basically joined the collaborators, basically, yeah. And because he was actually, I can maybe show you here on the map of Italy. I am, where is, yeah, this is Turin, where I used to live, and he was basically in these areas where he had a farm. And when one day, well, November 8th, the very first partisans came to his farm. They came with, the simple submachine guns that they found. I think they were Sten submachine guns, and they threatened him. Give us your farm, because we need your farm to, build up, to hide our men and our supplies. And he said no, because that farm was all what he had left. And yeah, he just shot them and killed them, because he was just defending his own property. And after that, he basically decided to join the collaborators of the puppet state of Mussolini. While the other grandfather, he was in the Alpine troops, as I also did. I also joined the Alpine troops, and he fought at the beginning against the French, but not really too much. He was sent then on the Albanian front, and then in 1942 he was sent with the Armir in Russia, and he was located along the Don Bend. I don't really remember where, but he was with the 2nd Alpine Division, the so-called the Kunenze, which was the division that was lost during the Italian retreat from the Don River. And again, my other grandfather was, I think, really lucky, because he was wounded by a mortar shell on November 10th, 1942. And as he got wounded there, he got evacuated, and he miraculously escaped the disaster that fell on the fellow Italian countrymen who were fighting in Russia. And when he realized after the let's say period in the hospital that the army in Russia was basically gone, that the whole division was lost, he realized that it was time just to pick up the arms and fight. This time against the collaborators, against the fascists, against the Nazis, against the Germans, and he joined the partisans. He wasn't the partisans; he was actually a corporal in the partisan, and he was directing a squad of motormen. And yeah, that's basically the history of my relatives in World War II. By the way, they never talked with me about that on their own. I always had to ask them, but what do you remember about that war, basically? Yeah, so yeah. Yeah, let me know if you have any more questions. Otherwise, I think it's 1 hour and a half of live, and I think it's enough. I will tell you maybe a few things. Wow. And yeah, did you guys enjoy it? Hopefully. Yeah, these are, I mean, yeah, these are stories that, Italians in World War II are always represented as the weak guys. You know, there is a lot of anti-Italian propaganda, which was, let's say, started by the British, that unfortunately is still nowadays contaminating all the military literature. And no, the truth is that the Italians fought like freaking lions. There was a battle in 1941 during Operation Crusader, the battle of, I think, Bir al Gobi, in which a bunch of kids, basically, yeah, the young boys, I think they were 19 or 20 years old, they halted a British tank offensive. The British called them the Mussolini's boys, and they were equipped with really shitty weapons. And this is basically the main problem of the Italians. I mean, Italians were, maybe I'm biased because I'm Italian, but I would say they were really good soldiers. They fought bravely. They were just not equipped. Now, now we can speculate. Just give the Italians a bunch of MG-34s and they will march all the way through to the Suez Canal. But yeah, this was how my grandfathers fought. My grandfather, who was in Russia, always told me that in Italian we say there was the myth of the cartoon shoes. They didn't have cartoon shoes, but they really had shoes with nails. And of course, when it's freezing cold outside, the metal of the nail can transmit the low temperature very easily to the feet. And of course, if you keep walking with these shoes, you will get frostbites in your foot. And that's also why, as soon as some Italians were passing by some dead bodies of Russian soldiers, they would just grab their hats and shoes and use them, because the Russians were equipped for the winter. The Italians were not. And also, I can tell you this about the Italians in Russia. The Italians were, well, both of my grandfathers ended up in two different times under the command of the same general, General Giovanni Messe. He was first commander in Russia, and then he was sent in North Africa to command the Italian army in Tunisia. And what Messe did when he was sent into Romania, into Hungary and Romania on the Eastern Front, was that on the way to the Eastern Front, he realized that the German invasion would have not, let's say, would have lasted longer than what the Germans were expecting to last. And so he bought from Hungary and Romania as many winter clothes as possible, because he had this kind of sixth sense of saying this war will be longer than just 6 months. So, and this is also why the Italians did not have as many casualties because of winter frostbites as the Germans did, because the Italians were surprisingly slightly better equipped than the Germans in terms of winter clothing, in terms of weapons and tanks and rifles and machine guns. It's a completely different story. And well, what time is it now? It's well 12:30, and I think we can end. We can call this alive if you agree with me, guys. And I'm so happy to have brought this live for the first time on my channel. I'm sorry this was really improvised on the spot. I didn't know I was jumping from one topic to the other. This was just my very first live, and I thank you guys for, as always, supporting the channel. I will be very busy in these days, so I don't plan to upload anything, maybe on Halloween, I don't know. And well, as always, take care, stay safe. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for supporting the channel. I love your support. Thank you, High Ground Memes, and everyone else who joined today in the chat. If you enjoyed the live, just let me know in the comments below. I will maybe do another live, not as long as this one, but I will do another one soon. And maybe if you want, we can even organize a live during the Christmas holidays when I will be back in Italy. And well, take care, guys, and see you very soon. Oh.